Good morning, my friends. I thought I'd do a quick video. Hopefully it'll be quick. I have been out and picking a few tomatoes. The bigger ones are I think those are the Bergases, and the smaller ones are the Everglades. But yesterday I came out, actually the day before I came out and started pulling out all of the clover that was here in Juicy Fruit Island. And I had so much artillery fern, which is just an absolute beast of a weed for us because it just takes over. Anyway, it was growing in amongst the clover. So I tried cutting the clover back to the ground and then pulling out the artillery fern. And hopefully those roots from the clover will go ahead and break down and become, go back to the soil. Let me just lay this down a minute. And I just wanted to show you, I've been out just collecting my plumeria. I know they look like they're all dead, and they pretty much are. You can see plumeria blossoms. I mean, of course I've got dirt all over it too, but they last a day, maybe 2 days. But even if they're not looking good, boy, does that smell great. Anyway, just starting off real quick, I just thought I would show you that the marigolds are blooming. These are all volunteers that I had planted them last year when I first put this together, which last year it was actually in March was whenever I planted the tomatoes. I had this is a cold hardy. This is a 20th century Asian pear, and I had one at each end, and the one at the other end did not make it. But I had marigolds planted in between, and of course, marigolds are notorious. You put them in once, that's it. You could probably keep it going for 100 years. But anyway, this one did come back, leaf out. Can you hear the frogs? Oh yeah, sure, now they get quiet. Anyway, the moringas, most of them came back. I had like 10 little moringas growing along here. And then the other thing that just completely seeds itself are the Everglades tomatoes. I mean, I haven't planted any of those, and yet I've kind of thinned them out actually because they were getting so thick that I would have had Everglades tomatoes completely forming in here. Like I said, I pulled everything out yesterday, and I cut back a tremendous amount. I had I don't know if you can see it over there. That's the Brazilian spinach. It was to the point where it was growing through the fence and down. That's an 8-foot wall that goes down into the preserve, and so I had it growing there and over here and through the wall, and I had to start cutting things back. And I had taken just a few starts from each, and I planted it in here. And I mean, it was growing. It was probably a good 8 feet wide and just taking over. And the problem was we were getting like little chewing bugs in the leaves. The leaves were kind of small. I tasted it as a spinach. I wasn't real thrilled with it, but I thought it would be a good ground cover. But anyway, back to the Everglades tomatoes. If you see, it comes 2, 4, 6, 7 is about, what do we have here? 2, 4, 6, 7. That seems to be the characteristic of it. There's 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So call me a liar. And they'll just keep on growing. You can see it just trails. And if you have a place to keep letting it trail, well, then you're in luck. You've got tomatoes for life. But anyway, the peach tree came back. That leafed out, as well as this fig. that's just, I think it's a brown turkey. And so I don't see any fruit on it yet. But, you know, this is still May. So anyway, going back down the other side, I came out yesterday. I spent 2.5 hours out here just pulling every weed that I could find, but trying not to really disturb the soil. I have a little claw that I just kind of like pulling it along, but trying not to wreck the whole, you know. I used to double dig. I used to go down a good foot each season, and so I would have I'd have loads and loads of weeds returning again and again. So anyway, my hibiscus are growing. I've been trying to use organic means, neem oil, and some onions that have been soaked in water. And then I use that as my liquid, and then add a little bit more liquid to it, and enough to bring up my spray bottle, and then add a little bit of neem oil to it. And I'm hopefully keeping the aphids at bay. I've had aphids here every single year, but you can see that the aphids get in there and they actually eat the blossom. So the agapanthus is starting to bloom, and this was the main thing I wanted to show you, was this huge agapanthus that just takes over this whole area. It comes the whole way over to here. And here is a grow pot that I have a fig in. Those are the Chicago cold hardy figs. I have one here in here, and the other one is over here. They're matching. And this, I used some older soil, and the soil had Everglades tomato seeds in them. And I don't know if you can see how, I'll back up. You can see how massive that is. There are, I don't know if I can get back here without getting soaked and spider bitten. But can you see this? This whole thing. Rick comes back and he picks. Bless his heart. And you can see it's just like layer on layer. You can see there's 2, 4, 6, 7. Loads and loads and loads of fruit, green fruit. It's just everywhere. And this will just keep on growing, but you can see the fig tree. It seems to be doing just fine in sharing the grow pot with it. Now I'm going to try to step back out here. Oops, ouch. And so anyway, my agapanthus is being taken over, and this Everglades tomato is just using it as, like a holding space, like, oh, hold me up, will you? But the agapanthus will be beautiful this year, I'm sure. And these tomatoes, if I choose to kind of cut them back and control them, I certainly will. I have more agapanthus here. I had more tomatoes coming up, so I decided to try and control them with a few cages. The sweet potato vine. We love the leaves, by the way. They're great to use instead of spinach. And even if they have holes in them, mainly I'm going to wash them really well, and then I saute them with some bacon or something, and they'll be delicious. The other, excuse me, I'm being attacked here. The other hibiscus, the leaves, the blooms kind of stay real curled up all morning, and then when the sun comes out, then they open up and they're very pretty. I have a few more tomato plants. I don't know about you, but I get Vinca's impatiens, and they'll drop seeds, and the next season I will have like a pie-shaped cluster of them. And so if I very carefully take them apart, then I can just make like a little line of them. and that'll start that. But you can see my plumeria are still dropping, and I don't know, I'm not going to be able to get a good shot from this side. I just cleaned everything up in here. The wind blew a little bit, and one just fell off the tree. God, I wish you could smell that. That's so pretty. It's so lovely. I got a pepper from the grocery store, and I took some seeds and started them. Back here I have 6. In the front I had 6, and the morning after I planted the seedlings, somebody came through, I'm assuming an armadillo or something, and snapped it off. Caladiums. I planted bulbs here for a few years, and they didn't come back 100%, but they come back about, 20% each year maybe. This is my big moringa. The first winter, it looked like it was going to die back, and so I cut it back, and the thing just went wild. Oh. This corner always stays healthy and kind of wild, and it was the first one to have plumeria blooming. And they've dropped hundreds of blooms, but knock wood, it still looks healthy. And you can see everything out in the preserve is growing just incredibly well. And we haven't even gotten into the rainy season yet. Just amazing. I wanted to show you the plumeria down here. You can see that one looks really, they've really gotten to be so big for me. Back down here, I wanted to show you, these are my new tomatoes that I can't remember the name of, but they are also a determinant, and which means that they put out all their fruit at one point, and then that's it. And they are really, wow, they have just, small fruit. It's not anything huge, maybe an inch in size, maybe a half an ounce. But boy, they're a good hearty tomato, and oh gosh, I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name of it. If I think of it, I'll write it down. This one, I don't know if it's, water has so much to do with it. Here's the irrigation, and this is a 12-inch pop-up, which means that when the spray head comes on, it shoots up 12 inches, and it's called a 12-inch one, but it's a 180, so it shoots only a half a circle, 180 degrees. And I'm wondering if, because it shoots up that foot, that this pot is drying out more so than the other pot, that it's shooting over it, because I've noticed that this one has leaves that seem to be having more trouble. It could be, a bug or something. I'm in Florida. Sweet potato vines, of course. These are the amaryllis that have finished blooming, and I will just leave those leaves come out. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful plant year round, so why not? My mango, this was the small one that I thought wasn't even going to make it through the freeze, and didn't think it was going to make it through anything, but it sure seems to be. And this is coming right to my rib cage, so 5.5 feet, so it's getting towards 4 feet. This is the spinach that I was telling you about, and Brazilian spinach. It's edible, and as you can see, the bugs seem to really like it. I think what I might do is cut all of it back and see if anything comes back and if it's all fresh. And I'll spray my soil with neem oil and some onion juice that seems to be kind of putting the kibosh on anything growing really crazy. I don't know if you can see what this is. It's a staghorn fern, and it's one that I had planted here. I don't know if I can even bring it out for you to see. I'm going to lay it on the ground. You can see this is the back side of it. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that beautiful? You see people have actually nail these to a piece of wood and have it growing, and it will grow just all on its own, or they put it in baskets. And when I get over here, I will tell you the story. My crepe myrtle, both of them. This is the raspberry, and then this is just the a common variety, and it's a mauve colored. And of course, this is the red maple. It's a Florida red maple, which tells you here in Florida our red maples are actually green. I don't know if you can see, but right at the tip of it, let me get in an angle here where you might be able to see up towards the top. I don't know if you can see, but the tips of the leaves lean just a tiny bit lighter and leaning towards a red, but they sure aren't red. No, I don't think you can see that. But anyway, all good. It looks healthy, so we're happy. Again, to my plumeria. The tea plants, these are all things that I brought from somebody else's yard who was throwing them away, and they seem to be surviving. This is the other mango. This one comes up to my nose, so it's probably 5 feet, you know, definitely for sure. This was my trouble spot. Rick went back behind here. He goes through on the other side of our fence, and then he comes through and he walks. There's a slight little edge. You can see that edge. It's only about, what is that, about a foot maybe. And so he walks along there and he pulls all the weeds that are coming up in the crack, and also there are loads and loads of weeds and stuff that come in between these because they're really just heavy blocks. Anyway, this was my staghorn fern that about 12 years ago, we had a guy who he's a friend of ours, and he brought over this basket. You know, it's one of those baskets that you use the cocoa core liner to it, and he had one small little piece in there, and he said, and he had a little bit of dirt in it, and he said, oh, these things just love coffee and they love bananas. And I thought he was crazy, but you know, anyway, so I had it hanging. It was on, you know, it's a hanging basket, and it had 3, you know, hangers and then the hook. And it was maybe 5-6 pounds, which seemed like it would hold okay, no problem. And over the years, it's gotten heavier and heavier and heavier. And as you can see, each cell, I would call those, it was the whole way around. And we had it hanging over here because this is the shadiest spot of our yard. And after so many years, Rick was back there pulling weeds, and he tried to move the hanger of it, and the whole thing snapped, and it fell, and it just, you know, fell and rolled and broke everything in its path. And then Rick and I both came around. We tried to right it. We tried several things, and all we could do was just get it up here on a concrete block to try and keep it until we decide what to do with it. I mean, it would be great if somebody would come along and say, oh, I'll take it and put new hooks on it and hang it in my oak tree, because that's really where it belongs. But anyway, you can see here's more volunteers. Again, I am going to have, Rick comes in and he's got like, you know, 50, 60, 70 of these. And you can see they like to grow along the ground. It'll just keep on going. Yummy. Delish. My peace lilies, this bathyphyllum, I thought they were all dead. And I just kind of cleaned them up and took the roots, stuck them in the ground, and new plants have emerged. And again, my tea plants, cordyline, if that's how you know it, and the plumeria from the underside. Such a pretty tree. Just beautiful. Oh, can't get any down for you. If only I were taller. Oh, here's more caladiums. Different varieties. I had like 4 or 5 different varieties here in the backyard. Anyway, that was it, guys. I need to get some work done today. I've made this much too long, 22 minutes, for heaven's sakes. And I hope you'll watch it. My 365-day average on YouTube seems to be going down each day versus up. So I think I'm just out here for my health and to be your friend. So that's very important, certainly. So I will leave you with a beautiful view. I have a beautiful life, don't I? Take care, everybody. Remember, garden what you've got. Stay well, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.